Every single time you log into an app or apply for a loan or even just browse online, you're using your digital identity. But have you ever stopped to think about who actually controls it? Well, the answer isn't as simple as you might think, and it's actually the key to understanding one of the biggest changes happening to the internet right now. This quote right here, it really gets to the heart of the problem. It's kind of like the internet's original sin. When the web was first being built, there just wasn't a built-in way for you to prove who you are. Now, it's not like they did it on purpose, it just wasn't a priority back then. But that one little design choice is the root cause of pretty much every data breach and privacy headache we all deal with today. So because there was no identity layer, every single company had to build their own. Facebook, Google, your bank, all of them. They each built these separate, centralized silos for all your data. And this created a huge problem. These silos became these irresistible honeypots for hackers, just brimming with valuable personal info, basically waiting to be stolen. So it really makes you wonder, right? What if we just flipped the whole model on its head? Instead of hundreds of companies each holding a little piece of your identity, what if you were the one in control? What if you could truly, finally own your digital self? And that really is the core of our broken system. Our identities are just shattered into a million pieces across all these different services. And at the end of the day, they're owned and controlled by corporations, not us. We're essentially just renting our own digital lives. This comparison really shows you the new way of thinking. So instead of those flimsy usernames and passwords we all hate, you use secure cryptographic proof. Instead of a company owning your data, you own it. The whole system goes from being super vulnerable to massive breaches to being resilient and private right from the start. And here's the most important part. It changes our whole perspective. We stop seeing identity as a service you rent and start seeing it as a fundamental human right that you own. And that, my friends, brings us to the solution, a whole new paradigm called self-sovereign identity, or SSI for short. It's built on this really cool technology called Decentralized Identifiers, or DIDs. The goal here is for these DIDs to become the missing identity layer for the entire internet. So, what on earth is a DID? It's actually pretty simple. It's just a unique digital address that you, and only you, control. The best way to think about it is like a phone number that you own for life, one that isn't tied to Verizon or AT&T or any single carrier. You can take it with you wherever you go, and nobody can ever take it away from you. It's like a permanent anchor for your digital self. But this is about way more than just tech. It's a whole philosophy. Self-sovereign identity is guided by these core principles that put you back in the driver's seat. Principles like control, meaning you have the final say, consent, so your data is never ever shared without you saying so, and minimization. This one's my favorite. It means if a website just needs to know you're over 18, you can prove that specific fact without ever revealing your actual birthday. It's all about giving you true ownership. Okay, so if a DID is your permanent address, how do you actually share information about yourself? Well, you do it with something called Verifiable Credentials. And honestly, they're just the digital version of the cards you're already carrying around in your physical wallet. This whole process, they call it the trust triangle, and it mirrors the real world perfectly. So a university, that's the issuer, gives you a diploma. You, the holder, keep it safe in your wallet. When you apply for a job, you show it to an employer, the verifier. The digital version works exactly the same way, but it uses fancy cryptography to make that credential completely tamper-proof and instantly verifiable. And don't worry, this isn't some kind of digital Wild West. There are standardized, open protocols that make sure all these different digital wallets and services can talk to each other securely. And that is so key because it guarantees that your identity is going to work everywhere, which prevents the exact kind of vendor lock-in that we have to deal with today. Now, I know this might all sound a bit theoretical, but it is so not. This technology is already being rolled out on a massive scale all over the world, and it's fundamentally changing how governments and people interact with each other. Let's just take a look at the Kingdom of Bhutan. In 2023, it became the very first country in the world to launch a national digital identity system built on these SSI principles. And they were smart about it. They focused on a convenience-first approach, showing people they could open a bank account from their couch or log into government services without needing yet another password. And the results? They are absolutely staggering. The Bhutan NDI platform has slashed the cost of delivering public services by 70%. I mean, this isn't some tiny improvement. This is a total game changer. And what about for the citizens? How about a 60% drop in the time it takes to get things done? This is the real-world impact we're talking about, making essential services faster, cheaper, and way more accessible for everybody. And hey, it's not just Bhutan. This is happening on a continental scale. The European Union's eIDAS 2.0 regulation is now law. By late 2026, every single EU country has to offer a digital identity wallet to its citizens. And by 2027, critical sectors like banking and healthcare will be required to accept it. We're talking about almost 450 million people here. This is huge. Okay, so this technology is solving the identity problems of the past and the present, but what about the future? Well, the rise of autonomous AI agents is about to make digital identity more critical than it has ever been. Right now, most AI agents are just borrowing our credentials to do their jobs, and this creates a massive risk. Think about it. If an AI makes a stock trade for you, the system logs just show that you made the trade. You lose all attribution. That agent gets all of your permissions, which creates huge security holes and this massive accountability gap when, not if, but when things go wrong. For decades, the big mantra in digital services has been Know Your Customer, or KYC, verifying that a human is who they say they are. But in a world that's about to be filled with autonomous agents, well, that's just not going to be enough anymore. And here's the big takeaway. The next frontier is Know Your Agent. By giving each and every AI its own unique decentralized identifier, we can securely delegate very specific permissions, create tamper-proof audit trails, and actually ensure accountability. So this technology, it isn't just about taking back control of our past. It's about building a rock-solid foundation of trust for our future. It's the missing layer of the internet, and it's finally being put into place.